Hey everybody, welcome back to another brand new video. Today, it's time to get gyrated, so get in your seat and start gyrating because today's video is on the Gyration Knife Corp First Series V2. So, let's get started. So let's start this off with what in the world is a Gyration Knife Corp? Gyration Knife Corp is a relatively new company. I don't think they were even around for a year yet. And I noticed them a few months back. Valley Hub, the guy who I did a video with a long time ago, and he got me very interested in this knife. So when I heard they were doing a drop of these, I hopped on it very quickly. So yeah, he kind of got me interested in these knives. So thank you, Josh, over at Valley Hub. Let's get on to the actual knife here because this is, I think, one of the more hidden gem trainers out there. And actually pretty nice, cool budget trainer. Budget-ish because it's in a $200 range, so some people might not be that persuaded into going and spending $200. At least it's $200 after shipping and taxes. I believe it's actually $185. I chose the silver version just because I think it looks very clean, but they do have some nice looking colors like the kind of ruby-ish red, the emerald green, and of course the gunmetal, which I think is a very cool looking color. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started on with the specifications. So this is the blade right here. It has a nice tuning fork shape that a lot of these trainers seem to go for to have that nice little sound profile. It's not very new to see these trainers out here with this kind of shape to their blade. The squid trainer is a very good example into that. And the squid trainer and this one do have similar sound profiles. I think this definitely sounds a bit better because this has bushings instead of just washers, so it's a bit more smooth sounding and consistent with its sounds. But anyways, the blade is constructed out of SUS 410 hardened steel with a mirror polish finish and chamfered spine. These companies really know the kinds of spine I like. This has a chamfered spine on it. It's using Zen pins with a chamfered Zen pin, which is not something you really see around this kind of price range. More or less, if you're wanting this kind of precision and care to the Zen pin or chamfering in general, you're gonna have to go up into the higher 200 price range, and not even BRS with their reps do chamfering on their Zen pins. Moving on down, we have the bushings. And these bushings are pretty darn good for this trainer. Bushings and bronze phosphorus washers give this a nice buttery smooth flipping experience and has some pretty rock solid tolerances. Very small amounts of play and tap, actually no tap at all, so that's another added bonus. I did have an issue with the washers the first time I got it though. Out of the box there was some tap and play on the safe handle, however I just simply swapped the washers over and now there's nothing, not even like a slight rattle anywhere. So very good on that. But I guess that really shouldn't be an issue out of the box. So I do have to give them that. That shouldn't really be an issue out of the box, even though it was a very simple issue to kind of fix. I still don't think that should be an issue. So just to let you guys know, that might be an issue. It might have just been on mine and everyone else's has no tap. Good on them. Anyways, moving on down, we have the 7075 aluminum channel construction handles. For those of you unaware, channel construction basically means that one handle is made out of an entire chunk of the metal you're using. For this instance, 7075 aluminum, as I said before, and has a channel in the middle of it dug out so it can fit the blade in it. This channel widens up as you go down to the end of the handles. It tapers starting up around here and then stays a wider width as you go down to the handles to prevent tap and blade rub and things like that. So that's pretty nice. Moving on down to the end of the handles is one of the more unique features, and that's these steel end caps. On their website, they describe these steel end caps as a way to help momentum and prevent from hard drops. So essentially what these are is to help the balance, the momentum, and of course shield the aluminum from hard drops. This essentially is just kind of like a shield to their already existing armor, and this kind of helps the durability and construction of their balisong here. And I think that's very, very cool and a novel idea, so good job on you guys. So these just kind of screw in here like this on the end of the handles. If you want to, you can take them out. If you don't prefer this kind of balance, you can take them out and see what the balance is like without them. I personally prefer them with them inside of it, so you can definitely just put them on. I think the look is a bit cleaner and the balance is definitely a bit better. Speaking of balance, what kind of balance does this have? Well, I think this has a very neutral balance with just a slight blade bias to it, and it makes it a very interesting experience. Considering that its length, though, it's a very interesting flipper. It's not a huge knife, but it's not very small either. It's definitely bigger than a 42, definitely bigger than a Chab, and to some people with smaller hands, it might be unwieldable, but I think it's a very nice and comfortable flipper for me, so it definitely does do a good job. Another unique feature of this knife is the jimping in the middle of the handles. It has a very nice, cool texture here, and it offers very, very good grip. I'm very, very surprised at how much grip this offers. It's not like an EX10's grip, but that's very unique on its own. But aside from that, there's also some gripping right here, some jimping along with that to help with ladders and things like that, to make it not just smooth aluminum past that point. Alright, so those are the specifications. Now, it's time to move on to my score.
And now it's time for the final score. Let's hand it off to your host.
So starting off with the first category, which is quality. I think for $200, this knife has some awesome quality. The jimping is a very good example as to why I think this knife has great quality. A lot of machinists would be kind of very impressed with this kind of style of jimping, and it's not very easy to do from a machining standpoint, so I would know that it's very difficult and takes a long time to do something like this. So for me, the quality definitely gets an 8 out of 10 for me. Because it's an 8 out of 10, I do have to address some comfort issues. I don't really know exactly where it is, but there is kind of one point where there is like just some small amount of pinching. I can't really pinpoint it. It's somewhere in between this Zen pin and right here. I don't really know for sure, but I do occasionally get pinched by something. And specifically, one of my Zen pins is kind of just sticking out a bit. It's not that big of an issue, and it really doesn't trouble me, but it's just kind of from a quality standpoint. I don't really think this should have been like this, so it gets an 8 out of 10 for me. The next category is sound, and I told you guys in the last video that I like more of the hollow sounds, and guess what? This knife has it, because occasionally you can hear some hollow ringing noises to it, which is pretty nice. So for me, it gets a 9 out of 10 because it has kind of the things I'd want in a sound profile: tactile, hollow, and occasional ringing. So it gets a 9 out of 10 for me. The next category is tolerances, and as I said before, the tolerances are pretty good. No tap and very minor amounts of play. I did, however, have to switch over the washers, as I said before, so for me it gets a 7 out of 10, but that's only because I have to switch over the washers. For other knives it would be a higher score, but that's only because I didn't have to switch out the bushings or switch out the washers. But it still is pretty solid, so don't be afraid to get this knife and start beating it, because this knife can take it because, you know, it got good tolerances. The next category is performance, and I'm going to already give this thing a 9 out of 10 because this knife is pretty good. With the smooth bushings and tactile flipping and very nice kind of just nice smooth and just consistent flipping, it's a very, very good flipper, and I do recommend these. And the only thing I don't really prefer is the slight blade bias, but that can't really be too much of an issue because everyone is a bit different when it comes to their preference and tolerances and flipping. Alright, moving on to the final category, which is value. And for me, the value is very, very good on this. So for me, it gets a 10 out of 10. There's really not much I have to talk about this because it's just a very solid knife, does everything I want it to do, and is just a very nice knife to have. So I definitely do recommend this if you're looking for a trainer in the $200 range. Some might find a cheaper trainer, but I think this definitely is a nice little gem out there. So this is kind of my review for it. So those are my thoughts and opinions on the Gyration First Series V2. I don't know if I said this in the beginning or not because I've had to change, delete, and restart my camera multiple times, but I am getting a Sentinel in the next few days, so expect a Sentinel review in the following weeks. Thank you guys for watching. Link to the Gyration Knife Corp website will be in the description. Even though everything on their website is sold out, you can expect drops in the future. So thank you guys for watching. See you later.